Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu salam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're listening to Newcastle Fast FM. This is the Niqabi Diaries show. Today, alhamdulillah, we have a special guest with us, Sister Aisha Murray, also known as the Scottish Revert teacher. So, Sister, today we actually want to talk about being a revert, okay? Because alhamdulillah, we're both reverts to Islam. So I'll let Sister Aisha, inshallah, introduce herself for the listeners and the viewers, inshallah. And so you want to give us a little introduction, inshallah?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Like you said, my name is Aisha, also known as a Scottish Revert teacher. I do content online for mainly YouTube, but I have done some stuff for BBC The Social that tries to break the misconceptions of Muslims and Islam. And yeah, I'm a mum of four, a qualified teacher, not working at the moment, alhamdulillah, but yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So we want to talk a bit about being Revert and how it relates to like Ramadan, other challenges that Reverts face. So if you just give us kind of a little brief introduction of how you came to Islam, inshallah.
So I have been Muslim, alhamdulillah, for 16 years now. And I was with a few non-Muslim friends like myself who I was pretty much raised with, and we had some non-practicing Muslim friends and they had family visiting them. And long story short, we wanted to go out one night and we invited them and they refused because the place that we would have been going wasn't really halal. So they refused on that basis, and we were having such a good time, so we were kind of caught off guard by their refusal. And we asked them why, and they're like, oh, because we're practicing Muslims. And then that led us to not going out. We cancelled and we ended up asking them a lot of questions about Islam, and alhamdulillah, it all kind of started from there.
Alhamdulillah. So what do you think are some of the challenges, like your main challenges that you would say as a Revert that you found since being a Muslim?
I think my personal biggest challenge was the kind of mental journey you go on, like changing your reflexes, changing your perspective on things. I think that is quite a big and probably underrated journey, you know, because you're going through a lot of you're gaining a lot of new information, and you've just discovered God, which is huge, and you're trying to then discover his religion. And you have been raised, well, me personally, I was raised in a way that often kind of contradicted what God's way was. So sometimes I had to fight inner feelings and things, like, you know, my conditioning from how I was raised. And I think that is extremely challenging. But alhamdulillah, you know, it does get better the more that as time goes on, but it takes a lot of hard work and dedication and, you know, consideration and support as well.
Alhamdulillah. Sorry, sister. I think we're having some technical issues.
Is it me?
I don't know if you've got two recordings going on. Could you turn the volume down on one of them and just listen to me from just the other one?
Yep, no,
I think some people have been experiencing some echo.
Okay, I definitely have it down, so I can't hear anything from the other guys.
Cool. Okay. Inshallah, I hope it's okay now. But yeah, because I've had to do something. I don't know if people are still experiencing the echo or not. Just let us know, inshallah. Okay, so alhamdulillah. So
definitely, I would agree with a lot of the things that you said as well. I think it's the personal kind of struggles, changing the way that you think about certain things as well. And like, I think one of the big differences as well, like for me personally, when I became a Muslim, a lot of my friends were actually male. So, and obviously, like in Islam, you know, you're not supposed to like mix with men and things like that. So it's like you kind of have to, it is a complete way of thinking. Like you have to like change like your common behaviors, things that you normally do, and it makes you become more conscious of yourself as well, I think, and especially with regards to like the hijab and everything, because you start to think a little bit more. And I remember like, you know, when I first started wearing like a scarf and everything, it was weird because, you know, I was still mixing, you know, with male friends, but I was wearing a headscarf, and obviously the way they would react was kind of like, oh, so this is your new look now kind of thing. And, you know, I think I never thought about kind of the male-female relationship kind of dynamic before becoming Muslim as much. You know, you think that, you can have male friends, but then like when I did become Muslim, it was just like, they started saying things which made me think, well, actually, if we're just friends, you should be saying that, you know? So it kind of made me realise, well, actually, like, so it was kind of easy to kind of end those friendships in that sense. Because I had to tell them, well, you know, this is my new way of living now, basically, and I can't be doing like, you know, having male friends and stuff like that. So it made it easier. And as well, sometimes another challenge that I found in the beginning as well, you know, when you do become Muslim, especially with a female, I don't know if you had this experience, but when you tell like friends or family, they think automatically it must be because like you've got like a Muslim boyfriend or something like that, and that isn't necessarily always the case. I know some people come to Islam like that, but it's not. You know, it's not like it's not the only reason why somebody would want to be a Muslim.
Well, that's the thing. I actually do some spoken words on my channel. It's very pathetic. It's not great, but there is one that I did that. I'm trying to remember, it's one of the first ones I ever did. But it was pretty much addressing this topic, like, did you revert for yourself? That was the name, did you revert for yourself? And in the beginning, I kind of went through a series of excuses that non-Muslims make when you tell them that you become a Muslim. So it's, you know, did you convert for a man? You know, are you lonely? Are you Oh, so many. I'm trying to think now, but it's so funny that you said that, because it is. They always try to make an excuse for what, like, oh, she must be really lonely, or she's looking for attention, and she's doing it for a man. She's not doing it for herself, because it seems like such a huge extreme sometimes step to others, and when they don't know, they really genuinely don't know, so their logic is trying to just grasp at anything that they can think of, you know, which is, it's a shame. Definitely. Because I'm like, no, I'm doing it because it's awesome, you just need to know, like, come look, see, you know.
And I think from that perspective as well, I think for me personally, that made it really hard for me to like give dawah with my family, because like coming from a Christian background, you know, they like, even though I told them that wasn't the case, they just wouldn't believe me, and I just thought like, why don't you believe me? You know what I mean? So that was, I found that quite difficult, because, and I think just generally in the media as well, like the way that Islam is portrayed, it's almost portrayed as if it's a religion just for men almost. You know what I mean? Like foreign men especially. So like
women are second-class citizens.
You know, like that girls being groomed by like, you know, Muslims and like men and things like that. So, and obviously even with related to the hijab and the niqab especially, people say, oh well, you know, these men are forcing the women to cover up and things like that. So there's a lot of kind of kind of rhetoric that is trying to say that, oh, like, it's, you know, it's everything has to be to do with the man. It can't be just because you want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Are men worth it? No offense, men, but are you worth like a whole change? Like, no, we do this.
Exactly, definitely.
We do this because we are dedicated to God. You know.
Definitely not. And even if you know, if a woman happens to be involved with a man who's Muslim, doesn't mean you have to even change religion, as long as she's Christian as well. Right? So that's another thing. Like, even when you tell people that, they still seem to don't really accept because they seem to think that's something like this. And I remember when I did eventually like find somebody and want to get married, my mum was like, "Oh, but what if you need to get divorced? Like, you can't get divorced in that religion." And I just said to her, "Really?"
Yeah.
I was like,
Miskin.
"Are you okay? Like, it's even in the Quran, you're allowed to get divorced." Like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, "It's not like Christianity," but she's like, "Yeah, but people don't get divorced, you know, when they're Muslims." Like, so she made it sound like, "Oh no, like, you know, could be like putting your life at risk," kind of thing. But I said, "Well, you don't get married with the intention of getting divorced anyway."
Well, you know, exactly, so exactly. It's a commitment. Yeah. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, SubhanAllah. So, culturally, we've talked a little bit about this, but I want to talk a little bit more about friends. How do you feel like? How was your experience with your friends and that kind of changing? Like, was it a case where do you still have the same friends now? Do you have friends who become Muslim as well? Maybe was you able to give them dawah? And you know, what about friends that you had been close with before? Do you still have some kind of contact with them, or has it like changed since you've become Muslim?
Actually, growing up, like I said, when I was mentioning my story, I had a group of 6 friends and we were extremely close and we were all non-Muslim. And then we had kind of friends elsewhere. So that group of 6 friends, 4 of us are Muslim now, 2 are not. And we're all still in contact. One of them,
that's so nice.
If anyone's watched my story, like I always talk about one of those friends in particular, and that's because we went through the journey together. Like we stayed home that night together. We questioned. She actually done most of the questioning. You know, I did a lot of listening, but I did ask some questions. But she, you know, it was really interesting actually because she was really aggressive about it. She really wanted to understand and take advantage of the opportunity that she was presented with. But actually, one of those friends was Muslim before us. The thing is, though, is she wasn't really supported and therefore didn't feel comfortable enough to, you know, share her journey with us. Yeah, she was still very, you know, early on. She hadn't learned Salah or anything like that yet. She knew a lot of stuff, you know, she knew a lot of things about Islam in general, but not about the practice of Islam, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So she wasn't in a position of comfort yet to kind of share that with us. And us two kind of found Islam through another means. And then we all just kind of came together, and then maybe a year and a half later, another one of us converted. Yeah, and we've been Muslim ever since.
I'm just going to read a few of the comments here before I get too behind. So a lot of people saying Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Newcastle Fast FM, Niqabi Diaries sister show. Sister, I think if that's... He says, love your channels, really beneficial, mashallah, alhamdulillah, barakallah feek. Atif says, Revert Muslims are so special with their amazing stories, alhamdulillah, barakallah feek. Else, and somebody says, adore Sister Aisha's accent. Me too. I love that accent, actually. Alhamdulillah, I really love it. Razina says that, and
barakallah feek.
And then somebody else said, yeah, not gonna lie, I want a thick Scottish accent in Jannah.
Oh,
mashallah. That's
I mean, I'm just happy people can understand me. It was something I was always very self-conscious about going online. Not because I'm insecure about my accent, but it is a bit, it's not just the Scottish accent, it's a bit rugged as well. So I do get a lot of comments about it, but alhamdulillah, majority of them are positive, so I'm really grateful for them.
Alhamdulillah. And as well, Repeat also says Aisha's poetry skills are on another level, mashallah, and I have to definitely agree with that. I think mashallah, sister is very modest, but I don't consider myself somebody. I'm not like so much into poetry, but like there are like, you know, when I heard your poetry, I really like it because it's just so natural, you know. I think sometimes when people do spoken word, me personally, I feel like they almost put on some kind of, maybe try to make some kind of voice, but it's just in your own voice, so it seems very
Well, that's how it comes out.
Like, that's what it's easy for me to listen to, so I find it very nice.
Oh, thank you so much.
And what you say as well, alhamdulillah, you managed to convey, your message very clear and in very short, clear words.
Oh, thank you.
So we touched on, also we talked about friends a little bit, and I just wanted to ask you about, so your friends that became Muslim, were they also Scottish?
Yeah, all of them, yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about being a Scottish Muslim, basically? I know you do talk about that on your channel, and you're, mashallah, proud Scottish lady, so
thank you.
This is something that I think is very important, because I think sometimes I watched a clip with brother Jordan M the other day, actually, and he was talking about somebody, I think they asked him if he's going to make hijrah, and he said, well, England is his country. He's English, why? Yeah. There's no reason why, if you're English or Scottish or, whatever country you're from, whatever your identify is, you shouldn't feel that, you need to become another culture. And I think sometimes when we become Muslims, and I see this sometimes with sisters who get married quite early. Sometimes it can happen, they get a little bit overtaken. If they've married somebody who's from a different culture, it's almost like that culture can get pushed onto them, which I think, something to, for a lot of sisters try to be aware of, and I always try to advise new Muslim sisters, especially when they do get married, just remember that Islam is not a particular culture. Islam is a religion, it's a way of life, it has its own culture.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to be Pakistani, Arab, or African, or whatever. Whatever culture you have, it's okay. You just edit it. Anything that's not permissible, you just edit those bits out. So minus pork, minus crosses,
alcohol,
just little small things.
Whiskey, move them. Exactly. That's the thing. I'm a very big advocate of embracing who you are, whether that's your race, whether that's the good aspects of your culture, like you said, your country, your, hijab. I think it's so important that we always kind of go back to why we're here and why we're calling ourselves Muslims. That is the thing that unites us, and it is an absolute lesson, and everything else is just extra. I was watching one of Jordan M's lives the other day, and he kind of mentioned about what he wanted to do in the future, and that's kind of the thing. We can make hijrah. I have no problem with going to some. That was actually my intention, maybe about 7-8 years ago, was to make hijrah. I wanted to move to Saudi, but at the same time, I feel an overwhelming duty to kind of be here and be as much of a positive representative as I can here, because whether I make hijrah or no, there's still a Muslim community in the UK, and there's still a lot of, issues in relation to, kind of, Islamophobia and, kind of losing my train of thought there, but, just kind of the bridging between communities. It needs help, and it needs active members of the community, and I think over the last couple of years I've realised how important that is and how much I want to be a part of that. So we can make hijrah, but at the same time we have a duty here. We want to be a part of what makes our communities better here. So that's why we're here. And that's why we're staying.
Definitely, you became Muslim here. You're giving dawah as part of your being part of your community as well. You're active.
Yeah, and there's nothing. Sorry, I was just going to say, sorry, that there's nothing wrong with loving your country. There's nothing wrong with loving your people. So.
Exactly, alhamdulillah. Tabs Khan says, always stay yourself and follow Allah. Don't follow people or cultures. Follow the greatest man, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Exactly, and that's basically what we're all supposed to be doing. And I think if we did that more and focus less on our differences, it make things a lot easier. SubhanAllah, because I think sometimes we just get so caught up in culture and what might be culturally acceptable.
And politics.
And I remember there was when my child, I've got a boy, and when he was smaller, I used to plait his hair sometimes. Okay. He's got like, you know, very curly kind of afro hair. So I wanted to grow his hair a little bit and plait it. This is something in my culture. I remember when we were kids, my mum did that with my brother. And I wanted to do the same thing with him too. And I remember I've got a friend, and you know, she's also from an African background, but she was like, oh, you know, that's for girls and you shouldn't do that because for girls. And I showed her, well, actually, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he also used to braid his hair sometimes.
He used to have 4 braids in his hair.
So,
yeah.
Exactly. He used to braid his hair sometimes. And it's like, because it wasn't part of her culture, even though I showed her this hadith to show that there's proof Prophet Muhammad did it, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, she still like had an issue that it's like, you know, it's like her, it's like I still shouldn't be doing it. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes, you know, and I wasn't doing it in the sense, as I said, it wasn't nothing to do with, oh, I was trying to do it because I was thinking it's going to give them reward, because there's also some people think that by braiding their hair, it's a sunnah that you'll get rewarded for, but not really. It's just something, you know, that's small value.
Sometimes it's beneficial for the hair. I have kids who have afro hair as well, so like sometimes it's beneficial for the hair as well. Like if you're, you know, oiling it and then braiding it, it kind of helps. The hair takes the oil in. So
and it's just something for me. My culture, being African Caribbean, it's something normal for us, you know, especially before I became Muslim. I used to do a lot of braiding for, like, you know, men, women.
Yeah.
So it's something common in my culture that I, you know, accustomed to doing. So
and not something feminine either. Yeah, it's not something feminine either. So yeah, exactly.
Alhamdulillah. So, but yeah, little things like that. People sometimes maybe look at certain things in people's culture, and because it's not part of their so-called Muslim culture, they perceive it as being negative or something that it shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
But if there's no basis for it in Islam, then
you
can't basically dismiss it.
I think that's one of the struggles as a new Muslim as well, because I don't know about you, but my experience very early on was that you must drop all cultural aspects of your life, and you must, you know, find a new culture, because you can't take ours because we are us and you can't be us, and you can't take theirs because they are them and you can't take theirs. You need to find something new that we approve that is not your own because yours is from a non-Muslim background. And you're like, you know, if we go back to the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Sahaba, they also came from a non-Muslim background. Did they drop everything? No. They, like you said, took the good and left the not good, you know, according to Allah's standards.
And this is something that Allah says in the Quran. He made us of different tribes and, you know, different colors so that we can get to know each other, because that's what makes life more interesting. It's not that, it's not in a sense of looking down. So even when you mentioned before about being proud of your country and being proud of where you're from, it's not in the sense that you think that you're better or your place is better than somebody else because they're not from there. It's just being happy with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, and that's it. It's not in a sense that you put that above everything else, because Islam comes first and it should always come first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you a really, really serious question.
Oh no.
I want to ask you about haggis.
You're going to expose me. Yeah, what about haggis with you? I know the details.
Do you get halal haggis? Because haggis is something that I tried when I was a child, and I really, really liked it.
Oh.
And as a child, I didn't know exactly what haggis was. And growing up, actually, growing up, our family, we never ate pork because you know, my Christians followed, you know, Christianity, but my parents followed Christianity. But it was like, you know, they stayed away from and stuff. We had quite a, you know, alhamdulillah, we ate halal food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I tried haggis at school, okay? And my parents would always warn me not to, like, eat anything unless I knew what it was. But I don't know how. I tried this haggis, and since that time, I really, really liked it, okay? But then I kind of didn't tell my parents because I wasn't sure if I'd eaten pork or not, so I didn't want to get into trouble. So I didn't tell them. And since then, I think, like, looking into, like, haggis and stuff like that, I realised it wasn't. So do you get halal haggis?
So I can see some comments like, what is haggis? So haggis is Scotland's national meal, and it's pretty much a sheep's insides, different organs minced up with other things like oats and stuff, and it's shoved into like a kind of bag of skin and then cooked. So that's haggis, and that's our national meal. You can get halal haggis. Like, that's one thing I really have to give the Scottish Muslim community credit for. Like, it's not the one thing, but for me, it's a really big one. And that is the fact that everything that I loved as a child eating, like all this type of breakfast things, like there's something we call square sausage that is not like a normal sausage, it's very different, and we have it for breakfast, and it's like known across the board in Scotland. And when I first converted, they didn't have it in halal, and I was gutted. Like, I was absolutely gutted because I loved it. So they have haggis, and even some places do black pudding as well. Now, black pudding is made of blood. Obviously, that's not permissible in Islam, but they actually created a like faux black pudding where it's kind of made from different spices rather than blood. And yeah, my mum, she often buys different like kind of halalified breakfast stuff, and it's really easy to access, especially in the bigger cities like Glasgow. I'm not sure about Edinburgh, but Glasgow, so many different places you can buy it from. It's awesome. I actually had a Scottish fried breakfast for iftar yesterday. It was amazing.
Mashallah, mashallah. This sounds great. Like, seriously, like, I thought I had to ask you about the haggis.
No, we can get it, inshallah.
I would love to have haggis again. Like, it's something, as I said, like, since childhood, I've only ever had it that time, but I remember how much I liked it.
I'll hook you up, inshallah.
I thought maybe it's pork because I've never tasted pork. So when I ate it and it was so nice, I was like, oh no, what if this is pork? And then my parents are going to, like, tell me off later or I get into trouble. But, like, you know what, it used to happen, actually. This is something really interesting. When I was a child, because I wasn't, I said I was never allowed to eat pork, I noticed like there was a few times that people had given me like food, and like I think maybe twice I had pork by accident, and I'd been sick the next day. So like anytime I'd have pork, I'd be sick. So when I had the haggis, I wasn't sick afterwards. So I didn't, because of that, I didn't think that it was pork. Do you know what I mean? But I said I wasn't like 100% sure. But yeah, alhamdulillah. Somebody's asked, is it Razina says deep fried Mars bar? So do you have that?
Yeah, the Scots deep fry everything. We deep fry chocolate, we deep fry pizzas. Oh my days, you have to try a pizza crunch. They're amazing.
Really?
We deep fry everything, yeah. But it's awesome though. Like, it's new discoveries that people just don't understand it until they try it. So yeah, I stand by them.
Wow, deep fried pizza. I mean, okay.
No,
I remember seeing on the documentary once the deep fried Mars bar, and I was just thinking, why would anybody do that? Just eat the chocolate.
Listen, I have tried the deep fried Mars bar. The only thing is they're incredibly sweet. So if you are not really a lover of really, really sweet things, I wouldn't try it. But if you are, yeah, get a battered Mars bar and stick some ice cream on it, and yeah.
Masha, I'm just going to try to read a few comments from Instagram here, because we haven't had so many on Instagram, at least I've seen. Somebody's asking, Akil, I can't say the whole rest, but Akil something Ibrahim says, do you like iron brew? Somebody's, as Chloe says, I don't know why my comments keep going, like I can't read all of them because they're disappearing. Do you like Aisha, the Scottish block you sent me was really yummy. That was from Chloe.
Oh yeah. And Chloe, yeah, she's an Aussie Revert, mashallah. She's amazing.
Mashallah.
So I sent her like Scottish sweets. I sent her and another sister from Australia one, so I don't know which one she got, but one of them's called macaroon bar, and it's like icing with chocolate and cooked coconut on top. They're amazing. But again, really, really sweet. And for the other sister, Samantha J. Boyle, I don't know if you know her, I sent her, it's called Scottish Tablet, and it's like with the milk, condensed milk, yeah. So it's pretty much condensed milk and sugar, and then it's kind of hardened, and it just, It's amazing.
Wow.
Again, really,
I feel like
really sweet.
Out.
No, I'm going to hook you up with haggis and a range of Scottish sweets, don't worry.
Inshallah. Whispering Whiskers says Americans love it, but I'll have a heart attack. Lol, I think they're referring to maybe the Mars bars.
Yeah.
Men need knowledge. Aki, saltfish. Oh, you know what? You said aki and saltfish. Now I'm so hungry. Like seriously, this is some Caribbean dish.
Yeah.
I'm not Jamaican, but my like my godmother growing up was Jamaican. So oh my God, it's like just you know what? Like when I think about Jamaican food, like seriously, it's like I go into the dream world because I think that is like my favorite. Aki and salt. I was looking for saltfish the other day in the halal shop. They didn't even have it. Okay. Yeah. So, mashallah. So, somebody asked here on Instagram. Okay. Akila said my diabetic levels are screaming now. Mashallah. So, somebody asked here on Instagram. Remember N1142. What is your Eid like? So, inshallah, let's talk about Eid. That's reverts. How was your first Eid? If you can remember, how was it?
My first Eid actually, I didn't celebrate it, if I'm honest. And that's because at that time I identified as Muslim, but I didn't know that you had to do the Shahada. I didn't learn the prayer yet. It was very, very fresh. I had tried Ramadan, but someone had told me that when you fast, you can't swallow your saliva. And yeah, I know. So as you can imagine,
It's amazing what you get told when you're a new Muslim. Like,
yeah. So I only lasted 3 days fasting of my first ever Ramadan, and I was so angry at myself that I never achieved it because I really wanted to, that I deprived myself of my first Eid. So I did. And I was really quite harsh in the beginning, like to myself, I mean. I was like kind of like, you've got to be Muslim now, you have to stop everything, you have to stop smiling, and you have to stop enjoying life. Like I went in really hard. Well, I'm not to that extreme, but I was very harsh on myself. Like I said, I didn't want to celebrate Eid because, I didn't feel that I deserved it. So
yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, so that's yeah, no, alhamdulillah. Now I have kids, so now even last year, me and my kids had a pajama party because we were in lockdown. So we had like a mini kind of halalified party in the house with our pajamas and cake and lots of goodies and things. So but otherwise, like my experience is, because I used to live in London, so there's a huge Muslim community. My experience was going and praying Eid prayer in the park, and that's amazing. And then usually I would take the kids out somewhere that they would want to go. So they like the aquarium and things like that, or when they were younger, I took them to the zoo and stuff. I don't really do that stuff now because they're all like teenagers or pre-teens. So we just kind of go out and just do something that the kids want to do because I don't celebrate anything else. I don't celebrate birthdays, don't celebrate all the UK kind of events and things like that. So it is their time to decide what it is we want to do. Now that I'm back in Scotland, I have to rediscover what that is. I'll obviously pray Eid prayer and things like that. So that will stay the same. But things that we'll do, probably take them to the Highlands for a hike and a picnic on a mountain or something. We'd love that.
Alhamdulillah. No, I think that's a good idea. And mashallah, it's nice, I think, when you're one of the best things I think about being a Revert, once you settle into your Islam a little bit and you become more kind of confident, it's just making your own traditions, basically. You know, instead of like adopting those from other cultures, you just make your own.
Well, I don't really have traditions.
Me and my kids, we always used to have this. We got this kind of Ramadan culture of like we like to try to bake new things. So that's the time of year that we really kind of like make baking like a thing. Like, I don't like to overcook generally, but we like to try new recipes, and baking's kind of where we like put a lot of focus. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't have any traditions. Like, I'm not, and I'm not criticizing mums who are like this. It's just I have no natural inclination to be that mum that has, you know, across the board table settings and stuff like that. I'm a very basic and simple person. Like, we cook, then you eat, you know, you eat until your stomach's full, and then that's it. Whatever I give you, inshallah, you're grateful for. Sometimes, you know, I cook good, sometimes I don't. Like, I try though, like the effort's there. But but mashallah, but my kids are, you know, really, really amazing. Actually, I feel sorry for them sometimes with my kittens in particular, but no, they're great.
I'm sure they love you. I'm sure you're an excellent mum, inshallah.
Oh no, thank you. But don't ask
you know,
them
I
then.
think sometimes as being mothers, we underestimate ourselves a little bit. Like,
maybe.
I say the same thing to my kids. I feel like, you guys think I'm crazy. Yeah, don't you? Like, I can see you think that. I'm like, yeah, but alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
I feel the same as well, because like they, you know, as you mentioned, they don't complain. Like, and you can tell like when your children are satisfied when they're happy, and I think that's part of being a Muslim as well. Like, not trying to like bring them up spoilt, and letting them have this kind of awareness that things should be appreciated as well. And they shouldn't just expect that they're going to get like everything that, you know, they desire, basically. Because I think this is really important. Sometimes as parents, we can work so hard just to give our children a life that is so comfortable, but it kind of affects them in a negative way, because they feel like when they grow up and go out into the world, they feel that anything that they want, they should just get it. But even though we ask a lot of things, and Allah loves us the best, beg Him, but sometimes the things that we want, it might not be good for us. So Allah's not going to give it to us, but it's the best thing for us. So we kind of need to teach our children that as well.
I don't want, my main goal is I don't want to raise them feeling like whatever they want, they deserve. You know? Like, for me, I will say that they deserve everything because I'm their mother, you know, and I love them. But I don't want them to think that because they want something or because they have a desire for it, that they deserve it and they should get it. You know, like, we as Muslims have to approach everything in balance, you know, and if we are Muslim, we know that if we're Muslim, that's, you know, enough. Everything else is extra. Everything else is extra. Everything else is a blessing. And I want them to look at life like that, inshallah. You know, so, but again, this is all their natural instinct. I don't know if it's necessarily my teachings that's made them that good, mashallah. I thank Allah for them every day, alhamdulillah.
I think the two definitely go together, because I've seen, like, I think, like you said, there's definitely a natural instinct there, but I think some parents, even having children who are like that, sometimes they go overboard to try to push certain things onto the children to make them, you know, want certain things, even if they don't want it, you know, and that can have like kind of a negative effect as well. So it definitely, two things go together. You're doing your part as, you know, alhamdulillah, their mum. There's a comment here from Solomon 43 David. It says, I'm from America, and as a child, the carnivals had fried chocolate. Does Islam seem normal to people in your country, or is it like everywhere else? I don't know what everywhere else is, but I think you know opinions.
I think Scotland has definitely changed over the years, alhamdulillah, and I'm really grateful. And it's partly the reason why it was so easy for me to come back. Because not only is the Muslim community larger and also more experienced in their kind of communication and support of reverts, like that has grew over the years as well. And I've seen over the last couple of years firsthand some of the things that the Muslim community are doing in Scotland, and they're amazing. As for the non-Muslim community, I think there's still a lot of learning going on, but I think generally, more times than not, Scottish people are just naturally interested in other people. You know, in every country and culture, you get not so good ones, but our culture is a very friendly and approachable culture. Like, we're known for being travellers, we're known for being hospitable. Like, we're known, we have this embedded into our culture as well. Like, our ancient laws, like if someone came to your house and asked for the toilet, you weren't allowed to refuse them and things like. So we have a lot of kind of let's say Sharia almost embedded into our, you know, ancient culture at least. So I think naturally people are open and willing to hear, but not always agreeing. And I think that's fine. You know, our duty as Muslim is to convey the message.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, no, alhamdulillah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I think even living in Newcastle, being in the north, you know, I'm from London. I grew up there, so when I came to Newcastle as a new Muslim, it was like, I personally, I love Newcastle from the day I came here, to be honest with you. And I just came to, like, I wanted to go to university. I remember getting off the train, having a massive portfolio in my hand, and I was like, yeah, I'm a new Muslim. I've come to this place. I'm coming for my like interview at uni and stuff. And I just thought it was just beautiful. I loved the city, how it was. I just thought it was nice. It was small. I loved everything about it, alhamdulillah. So, and I had really positive experiences from day one. Like, even though I didn't see many black people in the town or many Muslims, I still felt very relaxed. I felt very comfortable. People were friendly with me. I didn't have any bad experiences at all. And since then, I mean, I've been living in Newcastle for like, I think 19 years or so now. Alhamdulillah, so like literally almost all of my life as a revert, pretty much I've been here, because I was only Muslim for like maybe 6 months before I actually moved to Newcastle.
Wow.
But since then, anytime I meet somebody and they like, for example, they live in Scotland or they've moved to Scotland, and I'll ask them, how's Scotland? Oh, it's amazing. People are so nice, they're so friendly, and I've only hear, mashallah, good experiences, like good, you know, good reviews about Scotland and the people and the character and how it is. And alhamdulillah, like, you know, the times I've been there, I've had the same experience, you know, so it's nice. I think sometimes we have negative, you know, kind of images in our head or negative ideas from other people, but it's better, like, even from the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't like to hear bad things about people. He preferred to meet the people himself and make his own judgments, because sometimes when you get told something, you believe negative things, and then when you go, then you do have a negative experience, because it's partly because of how you're already thinking yourself. So it's, the key thing is to think positively, and inshallah, you just expect the best, and you do the best for yourself as well, and you display good behavior, and inshallah, you have good experience.
Inshallah.
There's sorry, I'm just going to catch up with a couple of comments. Somebody in the back here, Miriam, oh, that's good to teach contentment and acceptance, but not to live uncomfortably. For example, as a young adult, I don't shop clothes for myself as I feel I might deserve it. Mashallah, she's being modest, minimalist. Makeet says, I really appreciate Sister Aisha's openness to make videos about raising kids on the spectrum and raising overall awareness. May Allah reward her and make Israel. I mean, I didn't know. So you're doing videos about that as well? I didn't know about that. So Makeet also says, I have family with mental disabilities myself, so I can relate. Mashallah.
Yeah, so my youngest...
one more, Ahmed Al-Utaybi says, Mashallah, Sister Aisha, keeping the niqab as Western women has tremendous encouragement and uplifting for our women in our part of the world where liberalism hitting us really hard. Yeah, it is. SubhanAllah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the spectrum learning.
So I have a son.
I'm ignorant. I don't know much about these things. I'm interested, but yeah.
No, I have a son who has autistic spectrum disorder. So he's my youngest son, and it has been, you know, a really interesting journey. And I have a friend, a really close friend, who is a foster carer. She has 4 kids of her own, but she's also a foster carer, and one of her foster sons is blind, and the other one has spina bifida and he's on the spectrum as well. So we did a video kind of talking about our experiences in the Muslim community as mothers of kids with learning disabilities or disabilities, and it's been interesting. So we made a couple of interesting points, and I think that is just kind of the stigma that's still kind of hovering, not just within the Muslim community, it's definitely in all communities, one way or another. I do like to believe everything is getting kind of better, but we've had a few questionable experiences. So I made a video about that on my YouTube channel, and yeah, it got a lot of great feedback, and I'm really grateful for that. When it comes to my son, it's just, he's amazing. Like that, he's my heart. So he is. He's taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about myself, and I'm really, really grateful to be able to say that I am a mum of an autistic child. You know, it's a blessing.
Just a quick question about that, because I've noticed, like, you must know about this more than me, but like I've noticed when people talk about like children who have like autism, it seems to mostly be boys that have affected by autism more. Thank God. Is that true? Am I right?
I don't think it's true at all.
I very rarely come across people who have daughters that have autism. I don't think I know anybody.
This is actually
that has an autistic daughter.
This is actually an interesting kind of question that you're asking, because I think the difference is that autism in boys, at least in the early days, was very easily seen than it was to girls, because they have similarities, of course, but how they kind of portray their different behavioural issues is a little bit different. So I think now more girls are being diagnosed, but I think back in the day, the issue was not enough girls were being diagnosed because they weren't really fitting the kind of like criteria that most people were getting diagnosed with. And anyone who knows anyone who has autism, it is a spectrum. Like my son, I wouldn't say he's the kind of traditional kind of known version of what it means to be autistic, but you can see when you meet him and get to know him that he does have a learning disability. So I think that's just kind of a part of it. But I think now more and more girls are being diagnosed.
Makit Khan says symptoms are harder to lean with girls on the spectrum. Many get undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, sadly.
Yeah.
So, okay, Smith Khair says, what do you guys think about the France ban on the hijab? I'll let you answer that.
Anything? Oh gosh, it's so it's I don't even know what to start with. It's kind of ridiculous. Is it not just kind of ridiculous? Like the whole thing with France, and I think it has deep roots, to be honest with you, and also my husband's Algerian, so anyone who knows the history.
That's another thing, like, subhanAllah. Like,
anybody who knows the history.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
You know, like, I watched this, I talk about feminism, actually, discussion about feminism, it was with Ustada Fatima Barakatullah just recently. She uploaded it a few days ago on her YouTube, actually. But and do you know what? It was a good 3.5 something hours. But lucky, when I started listening to it, I was so engrossed. I couldn't stop. Like I had to just listen to the whole thing. SubhanAllah, one of the sisters that came on there, she's a Ustad Amina. I think she lives in America, but she made a point which I thought was really quite profound. And she was saying, like, in relation to this hijab ban in France that they've got now, she mentioned how, like, as the French colonialists, when they used to go to Muslim countries and they saw Muslim women covering, they hated the fact that the women were covered because they had in their minds that these are our slaves.
Yeah.
So what right do they have to cover themselves? Yeah. So this is the kind of a mentality that they had. They wanted the women to like stop wearing clothes, and they would give like incentives to, you know, the men of like, you know, give them positions and things like that if they could get their, you know, wives or women folk to stop wearing the hijab. So in reality, like they're doing the same thing now, and they don't want us to practice Islam, basically. That's what it is, because, you know, and it's funny that they're kind of trying to use the kind of liberation element as you know, their kind of excuse, like they're trying to free us. But you didn't ask us, okay? You haven't done any kind of surveys to find out, how are Muslim women in France doing? You know, what do Muslim women feel? You're not asking us any questions, but you're just coming and putting these laws. And it's just like, do you really care what we think? You obviously don't, actually.
I think, you know, the French government, like, Islamophobia is very evident. They're not even trying to hide it. They, like you said, I do think that there is a trigger that is much deeper than is being portrayed. You know, obviously it is, like you said, being portrayed as freedom and secularism and all the rest of liberalism and whatever. But it's very much Islamophobia. Let's not dress it up. They have a real issue with Islam and Muslims. And like you said, I do think there is an issue with them not having that access, or us having our own kind of control of who we are in our bodies. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the niqab ban was ridiculous. And, you know, one beautiful thing about the horrible, horrible circumstances that we're in just now with the pandemic is that it has exposed many countries, not just France, many European countries who have banned the niqab are all countries right now where it's mandatory that they wear face masks. So it's absolutely ridiculous, this whole, we need to ban niqabs because we need better security, or we need our women to have freedom.
You need to see the face and you can't communicate and all this kind of thing. Absolute rubbish, subhanAllah. And you know, it's funny, like, what annoys me as well, like, I'll just say this quickly. There was actually one of your posts recently that you done on Instagram, and somebody, I'm assuming he was a brother, but he made this stupid comment saying that, take off your face, so you don't need to, like, cover up to it like that, you know, just be, like, you know, just wear modest clothes. But it's just like, well what is modest clothes?
Yeah, what is
Number
that?
one, that's subjective, depending on who's wearing it. And do you speak for every man? And, you know, at the end of the day, there's women who are wearing niqab and still getting raped. So it's not about even what they're wearing. So you can't speak for every man and what he does. Do you know what I mean? So
well, it's just kind of, you don't speak for anyone. You speak for yourself, and that's it. You know, and you can think whatever it is you want, but you have no right, for one, tell me what to do, because I mean, who are you?
And for me, if a man wants to really respect a woman, and you believe that you should respect women, then respect women regardless of what they're wearing. It's not your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether she's wearing clothes or whether she's wearing niqab, whether she's not, you just respect.
I'm pretty sure he was Muslim as well, and I think this is kind of the thing. I'm sure you've had similar experiences, but niqabis are also sometimes made to feel uncomfortable within the Muslim community as well, and it is really frustrating. Even being online, I don't know if you have similar experiences, but you know, we are just not palatable sometimes as niqabis. You know, like, even though I'm wearing purple, lilac, you know, I'm still classed as an extremist, and I'm not saying I'm wearing that because, you know, I'm trying to be palatable, but it's just kind of frustrating. How about you just kind of look at my content? Is it beneficial? Do you think it will be beneficial to others? Then watch it and share it. If not, then cool, you know, but I'm only here to try and convey the message or try and do my part as a Muslim. You know, other than that, I'm good, you know.
Alhamdulillah. You know what, I don't know what show is next, but it is 6 o'clock now, so I think there will be another show that's supposed to start, so I don't want to hog the whole thing, but I know we could easily, very easily be talking for like another hour at least. And I definitely, inshallah, in the future, my sister, me and you, inshallah, we'll do some more talks together.
No, definitely.
Inshallah, definitely, inshallah.
I
want to say Jazakallah Khair to you for coming on today. And for giving us your time. It's been really pleasurable talking to you. And I apologize to all the listeners who I didn't get to read out your comments, but inshallah, they're all, I think they've been put up on the screen, a lot of them, but I couldn't read all of them. But Barakallahu feekum, thank you so much for commenting and interacting with us. I really appreciate it. Okay, so inshallah, stay tuned for Niqabi Diaries next week, and we also have other shows on Newcastle Past FM throughout the month of Ramadan every day. So inshallah, don't forget to tune into those. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.